Hey everyone, this is Cindy at An Open Door. It's April 4th at 10 a.m. and this is the hour that we've entitled Reality Check. And it is where we've set the intention to have a direct experience using the teachings of Helen Hamilton. Um, we typically begin with a clip of Helen, and I have one set up. And then we will communicate whatever is on our heart or we're inspired to share. And then we'll read from Reality Check. And Sandra's been kind enough to say yes to being our reader today. So let's start with this 11-minute clip from Helen, and we'll see where it takes us. Here we go.
Hi, Ellen.
Hi.
When I meet with somebody, I choose to be open with them. I choose to share what I'm feeling and thinking openly and to connect with that person. But sometimes the person I'm talking to does not like what I'm saying or does not accept me. And then there's a feeling of hurt that arises. And then there's a tendency on my part to sort of want to withdraw, to not be so open the next time. And I know that intellectually, if I accept everyone and everything, then there is no hurt. But still, this pattern continues. How should I deal with it?
Let me ask you this first. How do you know that some people don't accept you or like you?
Well, I'm interpreting that because of how they're responding to what I'm saying.
So let's be clear then that they don't like what you're saying rather than your mind is automatically assuming that they don't like you because the separate sense of someone is it takes ownership of thoughts, words, and actions, so that if you disagree with something I'm saying, it feels like you're disagreeing with me. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. So I'm interpreting their disagreement with what I'm saying as a non-acceptance or rejection of myself personally. Is that correct?
Yeah. So once you see that, it becomes easier in itself. It's like, okay, maybe it's actually just a difference of opinion here. Everyone's got their own perspective, etc. But taking it one step further than that, if you want to, is if I think they don't like me, then it can only be a reflection of the fact that I don't like me. Because that person that I think is rejecting me is me. And they're showing me that I still, on some level at least, don't like myself. It's not an easy one to accept. But if you can bring a willingness to, could I still be rejecting my own self somewhere inside? Out of habit, of course, but a prevalent habit nonetheless that we all have.
Yeah, I can see that, Helen, and I'm aware of that, and I've worked with that because I'm aware of that pattern that I don't like myself. So, but
Have you ever met yourself?
have I ever met myself? Meaning?
Have you ever actually just experienced you without thinking about you?
mean, look, as you're saying this, I'm getting the image of, like the Louise Hay practice where you look at yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you. That's what's coming up in my mind as you say this.
And let's be maybe it'd be easy to say when I was at this point in my own awakening, I realized I had all these negative opinions. On the best day, I just slightly disliked myself. On the worst day, I absolutely hated myself. And I was so convinced that that was true, that what I thought was true. And it was actually quite shocking to realize that all of my evidence, the fact that I wasn't good enough, wasn't likable, etc., was from what I think about myself. And that I'd never actually looked at myself without the filter of thoughts and mind. So this powerful question came, what do I actually know about myself if I don't think? If I don't, of course, mind might be thinking, but if I don't use thoughts as a reference point and the resulting emotions that come from those thoughts. So I'll ask you this, what do you actually know about yourself if you don't think about yourself?
Nothing.
So do you still dislike yourself then? Can you dislike yourself? From there.
No, I can't dislike myself if I'm nothing.
And what does happen if you don't know anything about yourself at all? How do you feel then?
Peaceful, relaxing.
Yeah. So can you see now maybe clearer what I mean when I say you've never really met yourself without looking through the mind at yourself?
I've never met myself without thoughts.
Yeah. And who are you without those thoughts? If those thoughts aren't used as a and the resulting experiences, the reflections in other people, like we started this with. If I don't count the experiences I've had, which have all been reflections of what I think about myself, and I don't look through the mind just for a moment, and I actually ask, who am I, without any thought being used as evidence or whatever. We come to
Without
this
thoughts,
stunning
I'm just
flip.
space.
Say again, sorry.
Without thoughts, I'm just space. I'm just openness.
Yeah. And do you like yourself like that?
Yes, it feels good.
Anything to improve there?
Not really.
Not at all, right? You've been amazingly brave here, and I'm sure you're helping absolutely everyone right now here by bringing this up. So it's just to be honest, right? I don't actually know myself. I've never met myself consistently without looking through the mind. And what's it like when I don't do that? Even now, let's take it one step further. Just look at your mind and body as they actually are without looking through the filter of mind. This is just a body here, right? There's just a body. And there's thoughts.
Yeah. It's just a body.
Yeah.
Just space.
Nothing to dislike there either, is there?
That's true.
So it's your choice then now. Now that you know you haven't really met yourself and your mind isn't, well, you have met yourself now, but your mind isn't the best and most reliable opinion to consult about whether you're good enough or not. That's all we're saying, isn't it? Your mind can't really see clearly, but you can.
Yes.
So you value this more than other people's opinions, which are echoes of what mind thinks. You value this more, you meet yourself directly, you value that more than you value your mind's opinions. Don't make the mind wrong. Just, okay, I can see it. Every time I look through that mechanism, it's always going to look like I need to improve myself.
Yeah, this feels better.
And the more you do it, the more you fall utterly in love with yourself, utterly besotted, obsessed. And, not in an ego way, but just, wow, there's never been anything really that I needed to fix about me. And then other people have to begin to reflect that to you instead of reflecting what your mind thinks.
I would like to add one thing, Helen. What I just asked you, I asked this because in the Sangha a few hours ago, one of the other members asked me to ask you this question, and I wasn't that keen to ask. But what I'm feeling right now, what we did in this Sangha was something from your website about there's only one questioner, there's only one answer. There are not separate questioners. And so this person asked me to ask this question, which is also my question and is everyone's question. So I think how you've just responded and what's just happened now is a perfect example of
There's the oneness.
there's just the oneness there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can tell from my answer that I've had to do this too, We all spend as long as we spend trying to fix ourselves from some wrong image that comes through perceiving ourselves through the mind, and mind's never going to be able to see you clearly. Only you can. So as you get that, it becomes a simple choice of if I'm suffering, I'm looking through the mind right now at something, at myself or someone else. If I'm not suffering, I'm just actually directly being with myself.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you for asking that.
Because I'm pretty sure we've done this clip before, but I didn't realize until we got towards the end. So I met it fresh. Is there anything anyone would like to share coming up? Please, Rana.
Good morning,
Any?
everyone. We may have seen that clip before, but this one didn't recall that at all. And I was able to just follow right along and get to that. What do you actually know about yourself? Nothing. How can you not like nothing? It's just almost funny, And so I took some copious notes with that, and I think I would like to do that again. Like she said, that whenever I want to meet myself, I can just ask those questions. And the last thing she said really struck me. Mind cannot see me clearly. Only self can. And that is such a great pointing. It gives me a little chill. So super grateful to be here with you all this morning.
Hey, Amy. It's good to be here. I'm looking at all the different colors in the room. It's really pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm looking at Patricia's purple, Richard's purple, and Rana's bright. I don't know what that is. It's almost an orangey red. Yeah, and this. I was just on my treadmill. I just threw this on because I haven't taken a shower, brushed my teeth, or washed my face this morning. So just thought I would share that with everyone. But being here is more important. So I was just listening to Deepak Chopra and Andre Dupree. Is that how you pronounce his name? I sent that to you. I sent the link to you. And they were just really talking about the same thing about there's nothing, there's no thing, and I will never meet myself. I will never meet myself. it's fun to play with the separate self, but there is nothing to meet. It's all just, it's all just the infinite now. And that's what I bring to this. So I'll never meet myself. Great pointers, and I love Helen Hamilton so much, but that's what came to me. Love us. Good morning. Glad to be here.
Is there anything else that wants to be spoken before we go to the book? Oh, Josephine, please.
I don't know how to know myself without using the mind. I don't know how to do anything without using the mind. How do you not use the mind in self-inquiry?
What's coming up here, it's a longer conversation, but the simple answer that I've learned is when the mind is really active, everything seems to be coming through this sense of a separate self. Go ahead and put it to work in trying to turn around and look for its origin, or look for who is the one who is asking the question, or there's so many different ways, but the best, if the mind is active and the mind keeps asking these questions, then turn around and use the mind to turn around and see whether, all right, mind, you're telling me you are me. So show me, and go ahead and use the mind to turn around and look at itself. That's the first, like, there's a lot of different ways to answer that question. But I can tell you I can tell you that the looking is so different than the talking about the looking that there's no comparison. So when you have a question like that, ask it and look for the answer gently. And you'll notice that the mind keeps telling you things. And you'll say, no, show me. Who am I? And the mind will tell you about who you were or what. I literally was in the dyad today, and it was a beautiful experience. And the mind wanted to start talking about what I'm having for dinner. Right. And I'm able to see it. And I'm like, you know what? I'll eat dinner tonight, right now. Let's sink in and look at what's here now. And so it's the response is experiential. And when you play and ask the mind to show you what's here now, or tell me who you are, and look for an experiential answer instead of a conceptual answer, you start having the experience of the answer. Does that help?
It does. Look for the experience. It does
Or
help.
ask for and rest around it, and it keeps showing up here, because something shifts when you show up here. Yeah. And Alka's right. It's for me anyway, and for most of the people that I hang out with, this is a slow and steady path. All of a sudden you notice, oh, look at that. I ain't thinking nearly as much as I used to. And then there's something underneath that. Yeah. Hope that helps. Does that help?
It does. Thank you, Cindy, very much.
Good morning, Patricia.
Good morning, all. Per usual, it's wonderful to see you. Big hug and love to you all. I am not my body. I don't have a body. I went to the doctor yesterday, and not great news, but it is what it is. And it was such a good reminder. I am not my body. So that's all for now. Thank you.
Well, it's more than you think, because right before, more than you think. You like that? I just heard what I said. I sat with what we're going to do on Monday, I sat with the book. I asked, I sunk in, I opened the book, and we're going to go over review number 6, which is, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me, and then using the 20 lessons that came before that. And it's specific to lesson 205, I want the peace of God. But literally, I was just sitting with the fact that where the rubber meets the road on Monday is between now and then, and perhaps anyone who's coming on Monday might want to sit. If you read the review lesson, the introduction to the review 6 on page 1370, it really speaks to a lot of what we'll talk about on Monday, but this whole idea of how to be. Basically, the body is a thought, based on some of what Josephine said. The body's continuously changing. The mind, our thinking mind, keeps telling us that's who we are. And when you stay committed to what's just in this review number 6, you'll start to be able to distinguish how much of what you call the body is really just the belief in a thought. But again, just like we were saying to Josephine, it's the practice of that.
But it's also the belief, the experience happens within the body. And so there's
no, that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about being in the present moment,
okay.
and doing, we'll talk about it on Monday, that's not this class, but
Okay.
doing what is suggested in the introduction, which means every time a thought that has a taste of the body or something other than the peace of God comes up, it tells you what to do with the thought. It's a practice, a mind practice.
I'll check that out. Thank you.
Yeah. Shall we read? It's very cool to me that literally 5 minutes before people started showing up, that decision dropped and you just stated it. So perhaps it's just for you, Patricia. You ready, Sandra?
Where are we?
Well, if we are where Kindle tells me we are, or at the beginning of chapter 4, does that make sense to everybody else? Amy says I got it right.
Okay.
And if anybody doesn't remember, please don't just raise your hand, unmute and say, can we stop and sink into this? Any one of us can stop the reading at any given time. All right, all yours.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, chapter 4. There are no forms or objects. Here is a basic error or assumption in our thinking process. Forms or things are real, and they are different from and separate from the formlessness. Here is the fact and what is actually true. There are no objects. There has been no manifestation. Manifestation, the world, all this out here, is just an illusion of vibration. Tangible and solid is only real in relation to the human senses. Most human beings would easily and automatically feel that they are sitting in a room that has a certain number of items in it, and they are reading this book. Only a few would question if the room was appearing inside themselves. Even fewer people would question which one of these viewpoints is more real and ask, am I in the room or is the room in me? Occasionally, it occurs to someone that the two viewpoints are the same thing, one thing. They are two different perspectives of the one reality. They are two different perspectives of the one reality. The aim of this book is to help you get to that final realization, and to do so, we have to begin to destroy the concept that objects are real. There aren't any objects at all. The things you think you see are not there in the way you you had thought they were. They only appear to be there, and they really are not solid. For something to be real, it must be eternal. Do you want me to keep going, or do you want to stop?
Oh, I was gonna hit the stop. One of the questions I have for everyone here is, how active is your thinking mind now? Is it saying some version of, yeah, I wish, but, or no way, or great to talk about, but how does it help me with XYZ pain? Or like, is there, I'm curious about, or has it fogged over? Are you in a state where you're feeling like, I don't even know what was just said? Or perhaps there's a sense of openness and expansiveness and peace. I'm really curious. Is it possible that you didn't hear a word Sandra said? Because that's a form of resistance too. Hey, Rana.
Hi. Well, it's interesting because during one of our gatherings yesterday, Cindy, you said it's all arising in me. And or 2 days ago, no, it was yesterday. It doesn't matter. It's now. You said that yesterday, and I wrote that down because there was a real noticing that I do not have direct experience of that perspective. And I'm going to add that word perspective right now because of what Helen wrote. Two different perspectives of the one reality. And so that's where my curiosity is drawn, is there's a feeling or a sense that I haven't had that perspective. And maybe the mind is just trying to kid me, right? Because all of a sudden there's another thought that says, well, when you're in stillness, you've had that sense that everything is just one thing. Maybe I don't walk around like that all the time. Ooh, little hair on the arms. Maybe I don't walk around like that all the time, but I have had that experience, I think. But that's where the curiosity lies today. Again, I'm so glad we're reading this again, because I don't think I would have been able to formulate that question the last time we got to this chapter. It was what you said. There was all this resistance. Everything was blah, 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 and the mind was trying to figure that out. And that seems to have been replaced with curiosity and an openness, rather than some intellectual, this means A, B, C. So thank you.
Thank you. Hey, Alka. Another beautiful color in the room, by the way. We have a lot of spring colors in the room today.
Yes, I wanted to say her statement that something is real only if it is eternal. My sort of, the body is not eternal and ever changing, but nevertheless, it is real for the moment. If I didn't have this body, I would not be able to sit here. I would not be able to go through all the understanding that I am getting about higher vibration and how things are not as they appear and stuff like that. And when I've dealt with this question in dyads, what is real here? It comes up again and again. The body may not be eternal, but it is. It may not even be enlightened, but I cannot be enlightened without my body. So is it real or is it not real? I cannot reach enlightenment without my body. It might be another body, different body I might reach it with. I don't know.
Is that true? Is it true that you can't reach enlightenment without a physical form?
Yes.
How do you know?
Good question. There is a story in Indian, whatever culture or whatever you might be, about somebody asked this question about if we are all enlightened, why do we even come into this body if we are all one with the divine? And so one day he asked this person to go get him some water from the river. So he took a container, got the water and brought it to his guru. And he sort of laid into him, I asked you to bring the water. Why have you brought me the pot? And he said, but I can't bring you water without bringing it in something. And I think it's something similar like that. Otherwise, we are all enlightened and one with the divine. I mean,
So you
if we are
think you have a belief and a thought and a belief in something that you heard or you read. How do you know that you
because
can't
I've
be
always
enlightened?
questioned it. I have always questioned this. When people tell me that my body is only a perception, and okay, I understand it's not real, it's ever changing and it's eternal. But
Perhaps there was something that I just lost. If you're game, the way it's here for me to suggest you play. Just play. Let go of the question. Just spend some time every day hanging out on the edge. Pick a body part, doesn't matter which one. Where does the body end and the formlessness that touches the body begin? See if you can hang out in that space. See if you can find where the body ends and the space that the body is in begins. See if you can find, with your awareness, see if you can find the edge and rest there.
okay,
And then let's talk again next week.
all right, I shall do that every day.
Have fun with it. It's actually a lot of fun if you're willing to do it. And land on the edge. I was doing this during my diet today. Land on the edge like a dragonfly would land on a leaf. Very gentle, very light. Or on the surface of the water without disturbing the water. Yeah. To see if you can hold your attention on the edge.
Okay,
Have fun.
thank you.
Hey, Izzy.
Good morning. So Elka, I just wanted to share what has helped me with your question. I was thinking about it one day, and the sentence came into my mind, which was, the world is relatively real. And that felt right to me. And then a few days later, I was listening to some teacher, and the teacher said the same thing. And so what I did with that is concentrate on the word relative. You know, what is the world relative to? If you understand, for me, if you understand that the relativity of form, when you compare it to the immensity of the vibration of love, it's a nothing. And that's where I landed with that question myself. I mean, I think everybody asks that same question. And that's what works for me. So anyway, that's my contribution.
Richard.
Morning, everyone. Love you all. What came to mind for me was level confusion. At one level, there is nothing but isness. There is no separate anything. And then at another level of our experience, we are in a dream. So in the dream, things appear to be solid or not solid, or objects appear to be real. We walk through the dream, eating, feeding the body, driving cars, moving from point A to point B in space, experiencing time from the morning to evening every day and days. So I think what I've learned is you can be very confused if you try to bring the two together without realizing you're all one, but you may be experiencing one or the other any moment of time. So that's how me. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the idea of formlessness and form being the same is reminded me of the three states as taught by Advaita and Buddhism. And the first state, the deep dream state, the separate self does not exist. In the dream state, ideas arise in the mind. And in the waking state, the ideas manifest as forms and time and space in our experience. So that has also helped me to look at that from that point of view. That first there is nothing, then there are ideas, and then there's form and time and space and finite experience. So I don't know if that helped, but that's where I'm at.
Thank you. Amy.
Just quickly, and in response to your question, Cindy, I was listening to Sandra, and then I started to think about a blue shirt. And then there was a gap, and then I was aware that I was thinking about the blue shirt. And that awareness of being both aware of Sandra's reading and of thinking about the blue shirt happened in the gap of no thought. There was nothing there. It was the space between thoughts that the recognition that there was a thought about a blue shirt and then awareness about a thought of blue shirt happened. And there was no one there. There was no Amy there. There was no mind activity at all there. It was just the gap of pure awareness resting there that saw both. And that's what I experienced.
The ground, it feels like you're describing the ground of being. So you're watching two objects.
There was nothing there. There was no personality there. It was just awareness without any objects or any thought at all, just awareness. And it happened like that. And
do you remember how it felt, or could you put words on a feeling sense, or is there no right?
No.
So there's this space, and then the mind attempts to create a story about what was experienced so that it can contain it, right?
It's kind of what Richard was saying. That's why we know that there's consciousness even in the deep sleep state. We don't experience anything, but we know something happened because we decided that we wanted to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. We had a dream. We went into the deep sleep state, and somehow or another at 6 o'clock in the morning, we woke up, right? But there's nothing there. And that sort of gets to Josephine's question too. The mind has to just let go. The mind will never understand that gap. It will not. It just has to experience it, but you have to stop trying.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
just, I've been working with the Finding Truth for next week, and I heard Paul say there's a significant difference between thinking and knowing, and it feels like that's what you're pointing to. Thank you. Josephine.
Yeah, I often come back to what I heard about Helen Schuckman when she said, I know this is true, but I don't believe it. So I also come to the readings about form and materiality, and science tells us that there is nothing solid, there's nothing material. It's all space with, maybe I call it molecules floating around. And then with our thinking mind, I guess, we give everything shape. So I know that I am living as though the reality is I have a body. I believe it, therefore I see it and I feel it. But in my heart, I know it's not true, that I am not a body. I believe in the afterlife. I believe in spirit form. I believe that we are forever. From the age of 14, I knew that I would never not exist. Whatever that thought was, I've always had it. I know I will always exist. So in some form, spirit, soul, and the course now is teaching me more. But the bottom line is, yes, I do believe in my body with my mind that has not yet accepted fully that I am not a body. So I believe what I'm saying is I can live with that duality.
I'm looking at, and I have no answers here, but I'm looking at the teaching that states that what we're calling mind right now, we'll never believe it's not a body. It's part of the body. And so it will hold on to the belief in its existence as something separate from God for as long as the thinking happens. So I don't try to change that mind anymore. My practice is more about resting beyond it and watching it from a space that is much quieter than it. That I don't know if that lands, but yeah. Very glad that you're here. Hey, Pat.
Hey. So all the hands went up when Amy was talking. It's like bang. She kind of, she led us to this place which is experiential. So the difference for me between mind and the thing about the mind, which I think she uses the word mind, but in the Course that might be the ego, which is the part that believes it's separate and thinks that its thinking is got some value. So that that part, like you said, that part is very strong. Is strong about believing in itself. But but there's this other part which is experience, and this and Helen, look at the way she writes. I mean, it's so clear, tangible and solid. It's only real in relation to the human senses. The manifestation, the world, and all this out here is just an illusion of vibration. So you can. The mind goes, oh, don't tell me that. But there's this part where you go, and she leads a lot of people into this in her various times where she helps people get to the place where you're experiencing who you really are. And that is like, she'll say, well, okay, close your eyes and look and say, where is the edge? If you do this, you will not find the edge. There's no edge. So if you really look, where am I? Am I just in this body? No. Where do I stop? A foot out? A mile out? Where I don't stop. So just that experience of if I'm everywhere, then, this is the one. We are the one. I'm everywhere, and I include all of this in the one, which is not me. It's just the one. But I can, if I'm looking for my edge, I'm going to find the one, because there's nothing outside that edge.
My experience is that we go out of our way to forget to practice resting on the edge. Like I would write notes or put things on the phone or put it on the wherever. Take 30 seconds and just rest on the edge. The thinking mind is going to do everything in its power not to practice. Yeah.
Oh, and also this one sentence. I mean, for something to be real, it must be eternal. Now that's true. So then just look about you. If there is nothing you can see that is eternal, then this has to be an illusion, a projection, a thing that my mind has created for me to get back to the oneness. Really, is what it's for. It's a school for me to see how each thing that comes up is like, yeah, I can get back to the oneness, seeing that. And so I love that sentence. I mean, I think that's such a relief, such freedom, because nothing that is not eternal, I don't need to bother with it. Done.
Thank you, Sandra.
Good morning. Wow, what a great discussion. I loved hearing everybody and all of it. And for me, the sentence that jumped out is the one that Rana highlighted. And I thought, that's it. When she said, occasionally it occurs to someone that two viewpoints are the same thing, one thing. There are two different perspectives of the one reality. And I'm with you. I'm glad we're reading the book twice, because I still can't help referring to the very last page of the book. It's like if you read a mystery novel and and you're reading it for the second time, then all the clues make sense. It's when you know the end result. It's only along the way that it's all a big puzzle. So the two different perspectives of the one reality. When Alka said, well, I need the body to understand enlightenment. And we try to say, no, that's not true, but it actually is true. Because you can't wake up from something unless you've been asleep. You can't be enlightened unless you didn't know yourself before. And how do we get that? We get that by manifesting all of this and perceiving it differently. So I think everybody spoke to that, like take away the thinking, get into the place where you're not thinking. That's viewing it from a different perspective, viewing the reality from a different perspective. Getting in the gap, getting in the place where you recognize your thinking, where you're watching your thinking, then you realize I'm not my thinking, I'm something more than that. And when we do that, we're viewing from a different perspective, the one reality, and the one reality is who we really are. And I've heard Amy talk about it like a Christmas present, I think. Like you forget and then you remember, and then you're viewing from a different perspective, the one reality, and you go, oh my goodness, look what is really here. It's just so great. Like Helen said it, how did she put it? It's quite shocking, she said, to find out who you really are. And then she said she felt you fall utterly in love with yourself. The true self that is not the body. It's like, for me, in the perspective of being a form, I think of it not as I'm not the body, but I am so much more than the body. The body is a temporary little, Bill Free calls it the bodysuit, but it's just a temporary structure that has a lot of space in it that I didn't realize. But I'm much more than that. And I can pop in and pop out and see it. And when I see it, I'm seeing it from a different perspective. And I love that. And I can't help but read a line from her last page, because when you read the last page, all the stuff along the way makes sense. She says, "It is simply that I am reality. I am reality. What that is, I do not know. And anything I am experiencing anywhere from any point of view must be reality experiencing itself. And any experience I have in any human body or animal is totally and absolutely real, because I am reality." That's what she says on the last page. Whatever I believe to be true is immediately true for me. It's just so amazing. I mean, I don't know why anybody is walking around in utter amazement at this. This is like, I'm sitting here in this room, right? She's talking about sitting in a room with objects, and at the same time, I realize I am so much more than this. And this is a vibrational reality that's being played out all for me so that I can experience myself as the all. And the only way I get to experience myself as the all is to temporarily not experience myself as the all. It's that relativity that Pat was speaking to. Can't know cold without hot, can't know hot without cold. So what is enlightenment? I think it means waking up. I was sleepwalking, and now I'm waking up to the truth. So I think there's truth in what you said, Alka. I really do. That I couldn't experience that without having this other point of view. That's it. Done.
Just a second. What you said, Sandra, was so amazing. Anything that I believe is automatically or immediately true for me. And that relates to that guy in the video when he was saying, these people don't like me because I don't like myself, and I believe that, so I create this world in which people don't like me. That's how it works. And and it all comes back to that belief.
No, and I didn't say it. I was reading Helen's last page here. It was from her, and it just so resonates with me, and knowing this helps me understand the whole rest of the book. You know, it's like, once you know the conclusion, oh, now I get that clue, now I get that little insight, now I get that little insight, because I know the conclusion. Who is the I that knows the conclusion? I don't even care. I don't care. It's like, it's just me. It's all me. So, thanks for
As I'm
listening.
listening to you, I'm thinking about that quote I've heard people say it's Einstein's and there's a Dada Maharaj's, but just this idea that what we are, either we have to accept that everything is a miracle or nothing is. And as I was listening to you, I was just sinking into the recognition that I don't know how I breathe. And isn't it amazing that this body is breathing, and all the science in the world? You know, I was dating a man who was studying for his medical boards. And we're driving around. He's 60 something years old trying to study for the medical boards, and everything was different than when he was in medical school, 30 years before that. And all I really noticed was that everything he had to study was different. It was made up. It was, and most of the words he was supposed to be remembering had like 6 symbols. And I was like, how is this a thing? And there was just this miracle of beingness. Like, no matter, it was just dawning on me that the medical science has no idea who we are or how we be. And isn't that miraculous that we be?
Everything is a miracle. There's absolutely no doubt. It is. And
Sinking
everything
into
is
the,
changing. Just have grandchildren, you'll figure out, I mean, teenage grandchildren, and they're talking to you and you don't know what they're talking about. Everything is changing.
was it you yesterday that was using that word wonder and awe?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling as you were sharing just now. Wonder and awe. Hey, Patricia.
Hello, hello. I need to land the plane for myself. That's what getting to the heart of the matter for me. All I know is that when I go into, like right now, I am in awareness. That's all there is right now. It doesn't, even though my mind is suffering with doctor's information, that medical information that came my way, it doesn't matter, because all it is awareness. And this is a question I explore with myself all the time. And who is aware? I am looking through my eyes now at this screen in awareness, and I see all of these boxes, but these boxes are made of these beautiful human forms. That's my experience. So if I didn't have this body, I wouldn't be seeing out of my eyes behind my eyes, if that makes sense. I'm looking through my eyes in awareness. Am I making any sense to anybody?
I'm in this space because I've been in inquiry since I woke up this morning. So there's a lot of things happening here. So I don't know the answers to these questions. But when you say that with such authority, the question that comes up for me is, are you sure?
No, of course not.
Right. That's so it's the egoic surety that I can't exist without a body that is being questioned. I'm not saying anything about the beautiful experience of the body, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying, I love dancing, right? And right now the feel of dancing in the body and blasting the music and hearing how the music vibrates in the body. And well, y'all know, you've been around me long enough to know that, right? And right now the experience is of that within the body. But the thought that I need a body to have that experience is a thought that's happening in the mind. I don't know.
But when I come back to the moment, and that's all there is, that's it.
What's wrong with my life if I don't think about it? We were having that
Yeah.
conversation, right? Yeah. And the truth is, that's when I talked about reading, like review section 6 and being in the inquiry, everything about A Course in Miracles is mind training.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry.
we don't need fear to keep us safe. And how many of the thoughts that show up in the mind are fear-based? And what happens if we question them and ask them to ask for the atonement or the forgiveness of every fear-based thought? Fear does not help keep the body safe. We
Right.
don't need it to take care of the body.
Right. Okay, my question is, who's looking through these eyes?
Well, and for whom is that, for whom does that a question arise? That when I learned how to do Ramana Maharshi's inquiry, the question I learned was, for whom does that thought arise? And then if the mind tries to answer it, the question that follows is, and who am I? And eventually the realization came here is that the thoughts may be arising in who I am, but they don't define who I am. And the other part of this practice is we keep asking the questions. We just, it's it's a questioning and a looking practice, not a being set, not settling for an answer. Amy has the final say.
Thank you for this. And isn't it really who's looking through my eyes? It's the same presence that's looking through all of our eyes. It's the same one. It's just yours, quote unquote, has memories that are different than my memories, sensations and experiences that are different than mine, but otherwise it's the same one.
I love us. Turning off the recording now. Here we go.